Hi, and welcome to Sunday School this week. We are in lesson, what is that, 8? On page 73, God Renews. Um, our scripture for this week is Isaiah 40:18 through 31. Linda's going to go ahead and read us those, and then we'll have our discussion.
And before I do, I just want to tell y'all we went to downtown in Prattville this afternoon, and we went and seen all the pumpkins, and we didn't walk through the park all the way because, uh, well, I couldn't, and he couldn't either. But it was just so nice. If you get a chance to go down there, it'd be worth it. Uh, for everyone because it's just really neat how they've done everything and how the children's made all these pumpkins. So anyway, I'm going to start reading in Isaiah 40:18. To whom then will ye liken God, or what likeness will ye compare unto him? The workman melteth a graven image, and the goldsmith spreadeth it over with gold, and casteth silver chains. He that is so impoverished that he hath no oblation chooseth a tree that will not rot. He seeketh unto him a cunning workman to prepare a graven image that shall not be moved. Have you not known? Have you not heard? Had it not been told you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them as a tent to dwell in, that bringeth princes to nothing. He maketh the judges of the earth as vanity. Yea, they shall not be planted, yea, they shall not be sown, yea, their stock shall not take the root in the earth, and he shall also blow upon them, and they shall wither, and the whirlwind shall take them away as stubble. To whom then will ye liken me, or shall I be equal, saith the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high, and behold who hath created these things, that bringeth out their hosts by number. He calleth them all by the names, by the greatness of his might, for that he is strong in power, not one faileth. What sayest thou, O Jacob, and speaketh, O Israel? My way is hid from the Lord, and my judgment is passed over from my God. Hast thou not known, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting God, the Lord, the Creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint.
Well, thank you, sweetie.
Mhm.
Um, Isaiah is being kind of sarcastic here in opening up this second part of this chapter. To whom then will ye liken God, or what likeness will ye compare him unto? And we do comparisons in our daily lives all the time. Especially when you watch sports, they like to compare one player to another. But that really falls short when you're looking at God, because what is there to compare God to? God created everything on this earth. Everything on this earth comes from God. And so he's trying to show them, if you make a false God an idol, different men make that. And while they may be very skilled in their one particular craft, if you notice, he has a workman who makes the image, and then a goldsmith, um, you know, puts the gold plate on it, and then it's in silver chains, and then they've got to build a foundation for it, and all these different workmen doing all these different things create something that can't do anything. And God created this whole earth and all of us and everything in it. So it's kind of silly to be worshiping this thing made by imperfect men when you have a perfect God to worship.
Right.
But we do this constantly. We create gods that we worship, whether it be money or fashion or status, whatever it may be. We create these things and we put them before God ourselves. And we have to really look hard at our lives and what we're doing. Says, he that is so impoverished that he hath no oblation chooseth a tree that will rot. He seeketh unto him a cunning workman, prepare a graven image that shall not be moved. So, no matter how much thought and expense and knowledge you put into this, it's still just a thing put together by man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it has no powers. It can't come to earth and walk among us and die and then go to heaven. It has no powers. God has all the power.
That's true. And sometimes people don't think about that God has all the power and there's nothing else that we can compare God to because God is the greatest.
Yeah, so Isaiah takes the trouble to point out all these things that we just talked about, how you have to have some just common metal for the mold, and then you have to have a goldsmith, and then you got to have the silversmith, and then you've got to get the carpenters with good wood, and all of this is for really nothing because that statue cannot lead you to heaven. It can't do anything to improve your lot here on earth. It can't do anything to get you from this earth to heaven. It's just, he's, what he's trying to say is if you look at the process, you can see that this is not anything that's going to help you out. All it's going to do is have something pretty and shiny for people to gawk at.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So starting in 21, he asked, "Did you not know? Have you not heard?" And again, he's being kind of sarcastic here because all the Jews know the creation story. They know how God created the earth and put together the earth. From the beginning of time, God has been in charge. And so this process they went through to make an idol, which does absolutely nothing, is fruitless because they know that God was the originator of the earth and he is all powerful. But they seem to fall away from that just as we do. We fall away from what we already know because we think we can control events.
Mm-hmm.
We think we can handle things. And God is the one who really controls the earth and everything that goes on here. Um, if you go back and you look at Genesis, and all the Jews at this time knew these stories of how God created the earth. And so Isaiah is trying to point out to them, look, you know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you keep turning away? He says, God sitteth on the circle of the earth, and inhabitants therefore are as grasshoppers. God is in charge, and we're just little bitty insects on the earth. You know, we've got no control over how the grass grows. We have no control over anything. We're just like little bugs flying around out there, and God's got this. Yet we get self-important. We get to thinking that we're in control, um, and we like to make our own destiny. But we can't do anything without God's help,
Well,
without God's assistance.
and in verse 21 it says, hath it not been told you from the beginning? You know, from the beginning of our life, we know that something makes the grass grow, something makes the flowers bloom,
Mm-hmm.
something creates human life, you know, but we don't take that into account sometimes. And we forget about that God is the one that created this earth and everything in it, including us. And without his help, we couldn't even make nothing. So we're from the foundation, we're from the beginning, you know, of our life. And that's what, you know, it's telling us here.
Well, just as we are created and we grow. God so created the earth
Hmm.
and the universe.
And the earth grows. The earth itself. I mean, think about all the things that God put here on the earth and how
Mm-hmm.
it grows and how it's formed and how, you know, things are done by Him.
So Isaiah continues here, and he's trying to impress upon the Jews that um, God's the one in control. He has the earth, and He is all powerful and
Hmm.
almighty. And the Jews at the time and the pagan religions um, kind of describe gods from making heavens from their own body, but the true God made heaven and earth out of nothing. He created the whole world. And since God is the creator of all, He is the one who reduces princes to nothing. If you remember from our previous lessons, when the Assyrians were harassing the Jews, and God struck their kingdom down, and He will do that again because He has His chosen people. And as long as they follow His word and look to Him for leadership, He'll take care of them. But as they turn away, well, they will receive punishment for that.
Yeah, and in this world today, with the things going on like it is and the sin going on, God don't let that go undone. After a while, God loses His patience with people. You know, I mean, you can, I mean, He forgives and forgives and forgives, but sometimes He has to turn things around to keep things from being in another position, you know
Right.
what I mean on that? You know, God has to change things up because if He left it the way it is and the way that sin is just trying to devour everyone, then how would we continue to be close to the Lord like we are? Because people.
Well, God always keeps his promises.
Yeah, and the devil is trying to trip people up in this world just like he did in Isaiah's time.
But every time you turn back to God, he's there waiting for you.
Yeah, God is not going to let things go too far. He's going to take control. He has control. Sometimes he lets things happen to get our attention more.
Sure, if you turn away from God, there's going to be consequences to that.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's what it is today. There's consequences, all the time.
Yeah, so it says, that bringeth the prince to nothing, he make the judges of the earth as vanity. Yea, they shall not be planted, yea, shall they not be sown, yea, shall their stock not take root in the earth. And he shall also blow upon them, and they shall wither, and the whirlwind shall take them away as stubble. So the earthly leaders who try to take control of people, they'll sprout up and they'll thrive for a little bit. But once the people turn to God, God will smite those earthly leaders, and it'll be like just a wasteland, like there's nothing out there. So Isaiah comes back and says, "To whom then will ye liken me, or shall I be equal? Lift up your eyes on high, and behold who hath created these things, that bringeth out their host by number. He calleth them all names by the generation, by the greatness of might, for he is strong in power, not one falleth." So look, when you're down, when you're out, when God has really let the devil work his evil on us, and you come back to God, he will take care of you. He will make the gardens grow again. Lift up your eyes on high, and behold who has created these things. God created all this earth, and he has allowed evil to occur as retribution, as punishment for lack of faith, for wrongdoing. But all you have to do is turn back to God, and he will bring the life back to the earth. He will enrich your lives.
And nobody likes the sorrow or the struggles that we have to go through sometimes. And God is teaching us there. He's teaching us a lesson to always stay close to him too. It's sometimes it's just really hard. But God'll help you through everything.
Sure. Why sayest thou, O Jacob, and speaketh, O Israel, my way is hid from the Lord, and my judgment is passed over from my God? Jacob and Israel are different names for the same group of God's people. God asked them why they continued to doubt. And they weren't just doubting, but they were hurting and saying their way was hidden from God. And this was similar to the agony they had while they were slaves in Egypt. And they thought that God was either blind to their suffering or ignoring it. Israel stated that my God does not care about bringing justice to the cause of his people. They assumed their personal God who had decided not to be faithful to the covenant. But while they have felt abandoned, nothing could be further from the truth. It says, do you not know? Have you not heard that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. All you have to do is turn to him. You don't have to go running after him. You don't have to beg or anything. Um, God is everlasting and he will never go back on his promises. He will always honor his covenants.
I'm glad that God give us those promises.
I'm glad he's a lot better at keeping his promises than we are.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes, sometimes we don't keep our promises, but God always keeps his.
And he knows everything and no details escape him. He does not get distracted because he is weary. He does not stop paying attention because he is faint. It is God who gives us the strength to those who are faint or powerless. God has an inexhaustible supply of power. He is omnipotent. He is all powerful. He is all knowing. He is all loving. He is omniscient. He is just has everything wrapped up in his hands. He has all the power, all the knowledge, and all the strength. And he will give you all the strength and power you need if you follow his word.
Mm-hmm. And that's true.
Even youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fail. I mean, us at our age, we can't do a whole lot physically, but when we were younger, we could do a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But there were still limits to our strength and endurance. There is no limit to God's strength. There's no limits to God's endurance. He will tarry with us forever. The weariness of people contrasts with the unlimited strength of God, and those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. The word trust is more literally wait, because if you wait on God, he will take care of it. It may seem like a long time to us, but in God's eyes, it's all momentarily.
Mm-hmm.
Lost my place. Oh, there may be a delay, but this should not be equated with a lack of power or concern. When the people wait and hope for the trust of God, they will find the strength they need, for it will come to them from God's limitless supply. They will soar, they will run, they will walk. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles, and they shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. God will renew your strength as long as you look to him for that strength.
Mm-hmm.
You follow his word. Now we know you're going to fail in following his word because we're human.
Right.
But as long as you're working to that goal, God's going to pick you up and support you when you tire, when you get discouraged, when it seems like there's so many obstacles in front of you. If you keep your faith in God, he will help you overcome each obstacle that you see in front of you. There are no obstacles to God.
Right.
It's what we create, and our faith in God and his guidance and his love for us will eliminate those obstacles, and we will get to our goal as long as we follow his word and his advice as long as we strive to be the kind of man Jesus was when he walked the earth.
Hmm. And you're right. We do create obstacles, and we do let obstacles come in the way.
Or we fear obstacles
Yeah.
when if we trust in God, we should have no fear of these obstacles because we know God will provide us a way to get through.
Well, and it's just like verse 31 says, if we wait on the Lord, he renews our strength. We mount up with wings as eagles. Think about that. We do. We won't run. We're not weary. When God is, when we reach out to God to help us through everything, that's exactly what he does for us. We don't faint.
Now, we may get discouraged because what we think our goal is may differ from what God thinks his
Right,
goal is.
exactly. Yeah.
We may not be the fastest runner in the race, and we may not understand God doesn't pick us up and make us win this particular race. But that may not be God's goal for us out there running.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
As we are live our daily lives, we're working through the obstacles. We set an example as Christians for others so they can see how we deal with adversity. And they can look at a good Christian working his way through life and say, that's the guy I want to be like because he is faithful to what he believes. That's the
true.
examples we have to set as Christians.
Right, exactly.
We have to be faithful to the Bible. We have to be faithful to God's word so others will see that and they will want to be Christians too.
That's true. That is so true.
So God will give us the strength if we're smart enough to take it from him.
Yeah, and sometimes we're not smart enough.
No. Sometimes we're not smart enough. We just don't see we don't allow us to see God's
We want
plan.
to think we're smart enough a lot of times, but we're not. We have to go by what God tells us and pray and reach out to him and believe in his promises and everything that he's given us.
Sometimes in this world where Satan is going full force at us, it's hard for us to determine what God's goal is or what is actually right for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because Satan's a tricky old dude, and he will make you think that what you're doing is so great. He'll make you feel good about it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
once you'll find, you get whatever the false goal was, you will feel an emptiness and a loneliness
Mm-hmm.
that you won't feel when you follow God's true word.
Right, exactly.
So you have to read, you have to study, you have to talk to your partners, you have to just try to understand God's word and know that you will make mistakes, but that you can recover from those mistakes with God's help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, I thank you for joining us today, and we are going to talk about what this week on our
We're going to talk
devotions?
about praise.
Praising God.
Yeah,
Well,
praising
that
God.
sounds like a lot of fun.
And before we leave here, I got a prayer request. I want y'all to remember my daughter's half sister. They take a place off of her. She's got melanoma. It's in stage 4 and it affects your organs and stuff. And she's probably around 50 years old. Just remember her in your prayers. They'd give her, they say I think you don't live longer than 5 years from what I read about this, but anyway, just remember her in your prayers.
But the power of this prayer group is amazing, and we know with all your prayers, any miracle can happen.
Yes, we do.
Okay, tune into our devotionals this week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.